Okay, so I'm attempting to cook for the first time on the truck. I have this electric skillet. I have the truck running because the inverter isn't really strong enough to just power it, I guess, without running out of energy. However, I had to unplug everything because this thing here started beeping and it was saying it was overloaded. So I had to unplug literally everything else. And I'm sorry I got like a huge mess here, but I got my rice cooker there. I'm gonna have to cook the rice after I cook this. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't draw too much so that I could do it all at the same time, but it's just not going to be. But this is going to be chicken adobo. Buddy, he just wants to jump right in there. But yeah, so this is my first attempt. I don't have a lot of room on this phone. Every single time it does a download for updating the software and stuff. It takes more and more gigabytes, and so like this is a 32 gigabyte phone, and like 28 gigabytes is taken up by the applications for the phone, and everything else I have on there I use. Now I do have like an external, like a little SIM card I put in there, and so I can film up to 128 megabytes. However, when I edit the videos in CapCut and it goes to save it, it wants to save it to my internal memory, and I cannot find where at all, anywhere, that I can make it save to my internal, or my SIM card. So anyways, I'm here trying to cook for the first time, and if you hear that little bleep, it's because it's later on at night, and yes, you're gonna see how dirty my maybe I'll edit that out. So it's late at night, so it's not 80 degrees, it's like 60 something where I'm at, so it's idling, which I don't like to do, but it's the only way I'm going to be able to cook. This meal is going to last me like a couple days. Well, more than that. There's over 1.5 pounds of chicken in there, so I'm really looking forward to eating it. I've had a long day. One thing I will say, I guess you can just watch this cook. One thing I will say is this: the load that I'm on now, it's going to be the fourth load that I've done this week, and I should be able to get it in time to be able to get the paperwork in Wednesday before cutoff time. So it'll be the first time that I myself have been able to get 3 loads in, and I'm hoping that means I actually am going to see a nice paycheck. But I'm not going to get too much into that because, to be honest, I've been very stressed lately about my finances. And what I'm getting paid here as opposed to what I'm doing, but I'm not going to go into that now. So I'm going to put some post some pictures on my community page if I can, if this turns out, and hopefully I'm able to upload this. I'll check back in with you later. All right, there you have it. Hope you can see. I'm not like here plating things very well. I haven't tried it yet. Hopefully it's turned out. I got enough here for like 2 more meals. I wish I had time to show you how to prep it and all that, but the recipe, I forgot it. I didn't bring it with me, and I couldn't find it online, the one I like. There's lots of different ones, so hopefully this will taste okay. Usually I use rice vinegar, it tastes better that way, but you go with what you can afford at the time. I just did white vinegar, but I'm sure it's going to turn out well. And 4 loads this week. The load I'm on, I think I'm going to Michigan, and it's due by 2 p.m. But I don't know if it's a drop-in hook or anything like that. Sorry, I got the thing running. It's not 80 degrees. I'm just trying to recharge the inverter so that I can watch some YouTube while I eat my food here. But I hope to do more cooking on the road. I'm gonna try and get some other appliances because I don't think I want. That's for the future. That's for the future. I hope everyone's doing okay out there. I've had a really long day, kind of a long, hectic week. Maybe I'll post more about that later, but yeah, here you are. All right, take care. I've been having like the shittiest week, and I finally got to cook. And then one of the things that I made, because I have like 2 here, this is the one that dumped, fell all over the place, and I got to keep Buddy out of it because it's got garlic and onion in it, and I got to try and find some way to clean it up. Just fucked up my rug. Pardon my language. It just messed up my rug. I'm just so mad. Just been a rough week. Finally got to cook something, was happy about it, and then something like this has got to happen. So, God, I'm so tired too. Hey everybody, welcome to Life According to Logan. I'm on the other side of my truck so that I can do my dishes, which I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna be filling this up with some water, and I got my Dawn dish soap and stuff, and we're gonna go ahead and do that. I don't know if you can hear me, so I'm just trying this out. I'm just gonna stop it for now and get you to the side. Alright, so I've been doing my dishes here. You know, I'm standing actually outside the truck when I do it, but I had to come in because I was getting hot and I didn't want to lose too much of the air conditioning. But these are all my wash dishes. I still got to rinse them. I'm soaking one of Buddy's food trays there, and then I have this to wash, and then I'm done, and then I can finish cleaning out this place like it's a mess. But these things, I'm going to be getting rid of that. I'm organizing stuff there. You can't really see, but I've been organizing stuff up there. You know, in the attempts to get this clean, because I've been running so crazily that I haven't had time to really clean up. But one thing I want to mention is that knife right there. I was washing it, and I've never in my life done this, but I ended up cutting my finger. So I have this on so that I can do the dishes. I don't know how deep it was, but it was sure bleeding. But one thing I do want to go over is some numbers that I have, and I'll do that in just a second. Alright, so this week I did 4 loads within my pay period, okay, and I got the numbers written down of what they were proposed to pay me, so I'm going to go over that right now. So one of the loads was $1,149.03. The other one was $706.86. The third one was $1,538.06, and the fourth one is $858.19. So I had a lot of really short runs where I pick it up the one day and do the next. 2 of them were real stressful. The first stressful one, it should not have been offered to me. There was not enough time for a solo driver to do it. I ended up doing it. It was late, but the service, the failed service wasn't going against me. It went against my dispatch and sales. Because I brought it to their attention after, you know, I'm like, hey, this part's my fault. I thought it said 2 p.m. instead of 2 a.m. But the rest of it, when I brought it to everyone's attention, and they're like, oh, you need to get closer, as opposed to, oh, we should probably repower this right now while it's still like 5 o'clock instead of like 10 at night. And then this last load that I just got off of, which I'm now in my home state, not my hometown, of Michigan. I'm just on the other side of it, near the Lake Michigan side, and now I'm taking the 34 so that I can do my deep cleaning. I can get some rest and just like calm my mind down, because when I'm sitting there stressed on a load, I start thinking about how stressed I am about my finances and the stuff that I talked about in the last video. If you haven't seen that, and you're curious to know what that is, you can go ahead and go watch the last video, but I'm kind of going to sum it up here just a little bit. I'm just not making money out here, right? My truck is revenuing money, but everyone's getting that money but me, right? So I did my total from all the loads, what they offered me, and so this truck has generated $4,252.14. So I multiplied that by 0.25, which is 25% taxes, which is lowballing it, really, you know, 25 to 30. And so my taxes due out of all of that should be $1,063.04. Prime doesn't take that out of there. I have to worry about that. So this Friday, I'm going to see what money I get in my account after their deductions of my truck note and fuel and whatever else I got to pay. I don't have an emergency fund because I can't afford to do it. And then I'm going to minus that amount from my taxes from that amount, and we're going to see if I made a profit. I'm feeling like I didn't. I've been out here in my truck for a month. I've been running. Now 2 weeks are my fault. I didn't get paid for 2 weeks. I only made enough to cover the truck note and the fuel. Well, 1 week, last week there wasn't enough for fuel, just maybe the truck cost us some of the fuel. So that's going to be whatever negative is going to be coming out of this paycheck too. So I got to keep that in mind. But those 2 weeks are my fault because 1 week I had to come. I got into the truck for the first time, and I wanted to go home to Michigan to get my dog and get other things that I had already for my truck. So that week's my fault that I didn't get money. That ain't no one's fault. And then last Friday I didn't get paid because I only did one load because I wanted to go to the company picnic. And I made the mistake of thinking it was Friday and it was Saturday, and I got in on a Wednesday. And so when I tried to get out Saturday, there was no loads. And then Sunday, the only load I could get didn't go out to the next day, so I got stuck there. So that week's my fault because I only brought in enough to cover the truck note and some of the fuel cost or whatever. So this week, this is the first time I've done 4 loads in 1 week, all kind of little loads. And I kind of got lost track there, but I had previously mentioned how I got a load I wasn't supposed to get. Now, it picked up day 1 from 12:30 to 1:30. That was the time frame. And it's a drop and hook on both sides, so it should usually be faster that way, at least in the yard. I get there an hour early, because I like to be early. As early as they'll allow me to go, I'll go. And then I didn't get out of there until 1, because when I got there, they were still loading it. So that's fine. So I still got out of there 30 minutes before the end of my appointment time. And I'm driving. And I stopped for my 30-minute break at about 5 because I was hungry and Buddy had to go to the bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom. And then I kept on driving, and then I started to get tired. And I was thinking, man, I've been driving all day, but I still got quite a few miles to go, and this is due at 2 a.m. The next day, day 2. And I was like, what? So I pulled off into a truck, a rest stop, and I had to park on the on-ramp because there was no parking because it's 5 o'clock and it was getting close to Chicago. And I called dispatch, and it wasn't my dispatch guy. It was the people who take over. Yeah, and they're good people, don't get me wrong. Like, this is nothing disparaging. They have a lot going on their plate. So I think they just kind of like overlooked what I had to say. It wasn't like processing what I was meaning. And so I called and I said, hey, there's no way I can make this load on time. It's due at 2 a.m. I left out of the yard at 1. I had this many miles. I have this many miles to go plus a fuel stop. There's no way I can make it. There's no way I ever could. And so the person I was talking to said, oh, well, you still have hours on your clock, so you need to get as close as possible. And I said, okay, but that doesn't change the fact that this is going to be late. There's no way I could have ever made this. It should not have been offered to me. But it just like went in one ear and out the other. Right? He processed what I said, as opposed to focusing on I had 3 more hours left, so I should get closer, then give an ETA. He would have noticed that I should probably do a repower now while it's 5 in the afternoon, as opposed to 10 at night when it's going to be even harder. That's just my opinion. I'm not a dispatch person. I don't know what all they have to do, but that's my thought. And so he called and he said, look, if you can get closer, you got to get closer. And I'm like, I hear that. That's what my goal is. But what I'm telling you is, it was never meant to be late. But he didn't hear that. He's like, well, what you got to do, you got 3 more hours. So get closer, and then when you get to your stop, give me an ETA. And I said, okay, I guess I'll do that then. And so I was driving, and he just got more and more pissed off because I'm stewing over. I keep trying to put my glasses up because I have such a habit of wearing my glasses. But while I'm working, I sweat too much, and they fall down. They constantly slip down, and that annoys me. So I get driving the whole time and just getting more and more pissed off at the fact that I was not paid attention to. Right? Like, they heard it, they read it, but they didn't actually process it, because when they looked and said, oh, you got 4 more hours left, you can get closer, they didn't give me an ETA. And like forgetting that I have to stop. If I'm driving all day, if I do all my 11 hours, then I have to do like a 10-hour break. Or I can do a split shift, which I had never done up to that point. I can do a split shift, but still, it doesn't change the fact that this is going to be horribly late because I'm not a team load, right? They just looked at it, it wasn't that many miles, so surely someone could get it in. So I drive to my fuel stop, about 2 hours down the line. I didn't get fuel because I was tired and there was a parking spot, so I took it. I didn't want to get fuel and miss out on a parking spot and then have another issue on my hand. And by this time, I got a stress headache, I'm pissed, because I know I'm right. So I write them, I do all my figures, and I have to figure in about 16 hours because I have to take a 10-hour break, and then I still had like 4 hours of driving, and I was going through the mountains, which means you got to add more time. So I gave myself some time. So I said, I can get this load in at 12:30 in the afternoon. He's like, oh, I'm going to have to get a repower. So they found someone to repower, but then it turned out they had to cancel it because he couldn't make it either. So I said, well, I'll make it there at 12:30. He's like, okay. And then he's like, okay, the reason why you're late. And I put it again in writing. I said, this load was never meant for a solo driver. There was never a possibility for me to have got this into the yard even remotely on time. And he's like, okay, I'll let sales know. So I wake up the next day to get my fuel and go, and there was a message from my dispatch guy. And he said, hey, I just want to apologize. You were right. You were never able to make this load in any way. Even if I magically appeared at the shipper with 11 hours, it just wasn't possible. He said, so, me and sales is to blame too for this, on this, and, but just try and get it in as soon as possible. I'm like, thank you very much for that, and I will. So I start to feel better. I get there at 12, and I pull up, and I go to check in, and I said, yeah, mine was rescheduled for 12:30. She's like, what do you got? And I said, it's meat. And she says, I'll come back at 8 p.m. They don't unload until between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. And I was like, okay. I said, okay. Sorry about that. This was kind of a weird load for me. So I said, is it okay if I pull forward and just let the dispatch know what's going on before I leave? She says, yeah, go ahead, go right ahead. Because they had no overnight parking at this place. This was another one of the contingencies, is even if I made it there was no parking, and it was close to Chicago, so parking's rough at night. It's hard to find stuff. The places aren't very big that I've noticed. So I go find parking. It takes me a little bit. I find some parking, and before I left, I let dispatch know, hey, I got here when I said I was going to. And I told them what I told you, and they said, okay. And so then I go back at night. I have to do like a split shift thing to be able to do it, because I'd already started my clock, which made me stressed, because I've learned that even if you have like 8 hours of drive time, if you have nothing left on your 14-hour clock, you're done for the day. You've worked 14 hours today. So I had to do like this split shift thing while I was there, and that just stressed me out, because the whole thing stressed me out. And then now, while I'm driving that load, I'm stressed about my finances, because I'm thinking, man, I'm going through all this hassle and I'm not making any money. I have no money. I paid my bills. I bought groceries. I bought appliances for the groceries, because I'm still buying things for the truck, because I'm a new trucker. I don't have these things already. I couldn't just transfer these things already into this new truck. I'm new to this. So everything that I'm getting is only what I need. And I'm broke. So now this last load was another one where I picked it up at the shipper. It was 12:30 to 1:30. So, well, no, it was 11:30 to 1:30. So a bigger frame of time, but still within the same time frame. And then it was due the next day, 2 a.m. And so I wrote and I said, you know what, I'm going to pass on this. And this is the first time I've said this since I've gotten to this truck. I'm going to pass on this load. It's too tight like the last one. And then my dispatch got back with me. He's like, no. It's 100 miles less, because that other one that was a problem was like 502 miles, and this was 402 miles. And if you have time to get to the shipper today, you can get to the shipper and get it, and then you could do a whole day of driving, you'll get there, you'll be fine. I said, okay. If you think best, I'll do it, because I'm also thinking, well, that's one more bundle of money in this week's pay, and I need that. So I said, okay. So I drive as close to the shipper as I can get with the time that I have, and I'm about 30 minutes away where I drop, and I'm fine. I get to the shipper the next day, right? And it's already ready. Actually, I got a message in the morning saying, hey, it's already ready, so I left even earlier. I left out of the shipper even earlier than expected, which was nice. And before I left, I got my directions going, and it said not 402 miles, but 468 miles. And I'm like, well, that adds another hour plus. That actually makes this very similar to that one. And I'm like, oh, fucking well, guess I'm going to do it. So I drove. I only took my one break, of course. Not that I'm sitting here taking multiple breaks, but in my opinion, for the most part, there should be enough time, leeway, in a load to be able, if you have to stop and go to the bathroom, like a random stop, you should be able to do that and not have to worry about like minutes. You know what I mean? Couldn't do that. And I have a dog who's diabetic. You know, sometimes he's got to just pee a lot. He had to just deal with it, and I had to hope that he wasn't just going to piss on the carpet. But thankfully, the difference with this one is the receiver had overnight parking. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to get there early. I get there at like 10:30 at night yesterday, right? So early. And I said, hey, I'm sorry I'm here very early, but there was the only way I could do this load, and is there overnight parking? And she's like, yeah, go ahead, you can check in now, whatever. Here's where you park, and give your information here, and they'll call you when it's your time. I said, great. So I got in there, parked where I was supposed to, turned in my paperwork. I said, hey, she said to park here. Sorry I'm early. He's like, that's okay, we'll call you when we're ready. Probably about an hour later, they called me. I got into a dock about 12:30. No. 2 hours later. I got into a dock about 12:30, and I sat there until 5. And they unloaded me slowly. And then I went over to the area that you can park, and I parked for a couple hours. And then once my time was reset, I came here to this Love's, and now I'm taking a 34. So I can't say long story short, because this is now 14 minutes. I'm hoping that I can upload this with the other footage that I got. If not, then the other footage will be separate, and then there'll just be a couple little videos. So if that happens, that's why. So anyways, I'm going to work on this today because I'm sitting here for 34. I'm cleaning everything up. I'm going to be doing my taxes information through Abacus, because I'll be sitting here, and then I'm going to be playing some video games and just relaxing and trying not to worry so much so that I can get back to enjoying what I do. So, y'all be safe out there on the roads. I've been hearing all around, because I talked to my trainer today, and he says, yeah, he's been talking to other Prime people, and you know, the loads just ain't paying. But then I'll see, like, I like watching Miss Mother Trucker and other ones, and then it's like, man, she's getting the good loads, but she's been here, she's got seniority, so that's how I look at it. But shit, you know, it would be nice to have a couple $2,000 loads. Like maybe 2, and then a 1,500, and maybe another little one. I don't know, man. I just hope things start looking up. Alright, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to be real with you. You know, this is my experience on the road. This is not necessarily anyone else's experience who's leasing or with Prime. I'm not saying it's all horrible, but I'm just saying I hope things start picking up as far as money's concerned. Once that happens, I'll be fine. Alright, well, see you all on the flip side, and be safe out there.